everybody, it's Emily at Arg Schooling, and I'm here today with my January book haul. I went into this year saying I was going to be careful and not buy too many things, and you know that that's me telling lies, because I have a lot of books next to me, so we're just going to get right in it. I'm going to start with the picture books I bought. I know, who am I buying picture books? Who am I buying them for? I'm buying them for myself, to be honest. I don't have children small enough for picture books. My youngest is going to be 13 in about 2 months, so I bought these anyway because I just wanted them. First, I purchased the 1619 Project Born on the Water. This is by Nicole Hannah-Jones and Renee Watson. I bought this because I've seen so many people talk about it. It's been just like all over everything, everywhere, and I wanted to get a copy so I could read it and review it for a history book by book. This is a beautiful picture book. Like, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. It's written in kind of like rhymey verse, and it tells a story of a girl who is supposed to be writing a report or something to that effect about her ancestors, and she doesn't know how to find that information. And so I want to say it's like her grandmother, I think. Yeah, her grandmother decides to tell her the story of her people. And so it looks like it's going to be a beautiful read, and I'm excited to own a copy. Then these next three are all the same author. I discovered the first one through the Sybil's Awards, and then just like, I need all her books, all of them. So the one I found out about through the Sybil's is Dear Mr. Dickens, and they're all by Nancy Chernin. This book, I wish that I'd had this when I was young, and I wish I'd had this for my kids when they were young. This is a story about a woman named Eliza Davis, who was a contemporary of Charles Dickens and was a big fan of his work. And she's Jewish, and when she reads his story of Oliver Twist and reads the character of Fagin, she's upset because it was written in a very anti-Semitic way. And so she writes to him to tell him that, like, hey, you should probably not do that. It's wrong. And through various letters that they wrote back and forth to each other, she had convinced him to rethink his portrayal of Fagin and then even add in a sympathetic Jewish character in his later work. So I thought this was a great story. It's a beautiful picture book. Like, the pictures are just beautiful in this. The illustrations are lovely. And I thought it was very inspiring for, like, standing up for what you believe in. And even when you think you're maybe not the right person, or maybe you don't have the same platform or ability to stand up, you can still do so, as we can see through Eliza. And then I loved that so much, I bought 2 more books by her. I bought Martin and Anne, and I bought Irving Berlin, The Immigrant Boy Who Made America Sing. And both of these are portrayals of people that everyone's heard of. In this one, it's the parallel lives of Martin Luther King Jr. and Anne Frank, because, as you probably have heard, they were born in the same year. And had Anne not been murdered in the concentration camps, they would have been contemporaries in adulthood. And, like, this shows, like, their parallel journeys to fight for freedom. It's beautiful. Like, this is maybe my new favorite picture book. And then this one just tells the story of Irving Berlin, who came to America as a child with his family from Russia because they were fleeing the pogroms there and looking for a better life in America, and like his story of like how he became such a famous songwriter. So I'm obsessed. Okay, so those are the only like picture books I bought. But I did also buy some graphic novels. I'm always looking for graphic novels for my daughter and also for myself because I enjoy that medium as well. And I bought her Cranky Chicken by Catherine Battersby. It's a really silly, cute little book, but she loves chickens for some reason. That's like her thing right now, is chickens. And so when I saw that this was a finalist in the Sybil's Awards in the graphic novel category, I had to have a copy for her. And basically this is a story about a chicken who's grumpy, or cranky rather. This is a cranky chicken and a worm that cheers her up, and it's cute. And then I also bought Salt Magic by Hope Larson and Rebecca Mock. This was also a Sybil's finalist in the graphic novel category, and this one is a World War I story, which is why I was intrigued. It's like fantasy-ish and also World War I. And I haven't picked it up yet because I've had too many other things going right now, but I'm really excited to read this because I feel like there's never been enough World War I books, and every time I find one, I get excited. So these next two are books that my husband had pre-ordered for me. These were technically Christmas presents, but they didn't come out until January, so I got them when they came in the mail. The first one he bought me because I'm doing the alphabet challenge this year, and I was worried that I wouldn't be able to find a book that started with X. So he got me XYZ, The Real Story of How the Enigma Was Broken by Dermot Turing. So this is nonfiction about the Enigma and Alan Turing and all of that. And it has an X in the title. I really don't know too much about this one because I hadn't heard of it before it arrived at my house. But I'm always looking for interesting nonfiction. And then he also got me The Taste of Ginger. This is by Mansi Shah. I don't know anything about this. It's about an Indian-American family. They immigrate to America, and then at some point the main character has to go back to India. So I love reading about India. It's one of those countries that I'm just so intrigued by. I've always wanted to visit. I have to do it from my house in literature and movies because world travel's probably just not a thing that's going to happen for me, but I'm really excited to read this. I have The Sea in Winter by Christine Day. This is one that had been on my radar for a while, but I wanted to wait until I could get the paperback. So this is Indigenous story. It's about a girl named Maisie, and I want to say this was also a Sybil's finalist, but for the life of me, I can't figure out what category because it's not the fiction. So is there an element of fantasy in this? Maybe this was in the speculative fiction category. I really don't know that much about it. A book I picked up for homeschool purposes. This is called Fault Lines in the Constitution, The Framers, Their Fights, and the Flaws That Affect Us Today by Cynthia Levinson and Sanford Levinson. And this is something I got for my daughter. We're doing American history this year. When we get to the Constitution, I wanted to have some good resources to go through that with her. And this one talks about like not just the Constitution in general, but like the things in it that are maybe things that should be fixed or could be fixed. So this covers quite a few topics. This covers presidential term limits, voting rights, presidential veto, the Senate, amending the Constitution. So there's a lot of information in here. It sounds like a really promising resource. Okay, so I don't know if it's actually going to happen now, but I had planned on doing a reading vlog in which I read the Sybil's finalists in the middle grade fiction category. Well, I should have taken into account that I have a brand new puppy and that my life is kind of chaotic right now, and I have not really had time to do this. I've only read one of the books that was nominated in this category. Am I going to get to the rest before the middle of February? Probably not. But I might still try to film it anyway and I'll just give my opinion instead of trying to guess before the winner is announced. Anyway, the books that I've got for that, I have Linked by Gordon Corman, and this is the only one I've read. This is a story about children in a school where there's been some vandalism. There's been a swastika painted on a wall, and they don't know who did it, but the kids stand up and decide to put together this project where they want to have 6 million paper chain links to represent the 6 million Jews who were murdered in the Holocaust. And so it's a really well done book. I did enjoy this quite a lot. If I get this video up, you'll hear more of my thoughts. Then I have Many Points of Me. This is by Caroline Gertler. This is a story about a girl who is trying to learn more about her father, who is an artist, and I don't really know too much more than that. Then this one is Violets Are Blue by Barbara D, and this story has to do with a girl in makeup. Something to do with makeup. I really like this cover though, it's so pretty. It's about a girl who's dealing with a lot of big changes in her life, and she's really interested in like FX makeup and that kind of stuff, so I don't really know too much more than that. Honestly, that's the theme here. I don't know a lot about a lot of these books, so bear with me. And then I have Flight of the Puffin by Anne Braden. I was excited about this one because I read another of Anne Braden's books a year or so ago. The Benefits of Being an Octopus. And this was also a blurb by Dusty Bowling, who wrote another favorite of mine, Insignificant Events in the Life of a Cactus. So this, it's like multiple perspectives and how their lives intersect. There's something to do with bullying, I think. A message of hope. Then I really like the title of this one. It's called Thanks a Lot Universe by Chad Lucas. I think this is about a boy with anxiety. So, will I get to these? I hope so. I would like to do this video again and make this an annual thing. Maybe eventually be an actual Sybil's judge. It's been a goal for a while. I just never seem to have the time. Next, I have another book I actually read already, and that is Last of the Name by Roseanne Perry. This is a story of Irish immigrants who come to America in the 1860s, and it also revolves around the New York City draft riots. So there's some Civil War stuff happening in the background, but for the most part, this is not a Civil War book. This is more about the lives of the Irish and like what they were leaving behind and what they were hoping to find in America and how they handle the adversity they face in America, because this was a time when the Irish were pretty much despised by everyone. I thought this was really well done. I really loved the characters in this story, the sibling relationship. I just thought it was great. This is also going to be in the new level 4 update. I have been treating myself every, I don't know, I don't do it very often, but every now and then, when I feel like I earned a treat or deserve a treat, I purchase these beautiful editions of the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. And so I now own these 2 copies. Oh, they're so pretty. I have Weird Sisters and Mort. Mort is probably one of my top favorites in the Discworld series. I just find it so fun. And I've read both of these already. I just wanted to own them in this beautiful editions. Like, they're just so beautiful. They're hardcovers. They have ribbons in here. They're lovely. Ribbon. So these are just lovely, and I want to have the entire series in this edition on my shelves, but they're kind of expensive and you can only get them through Book Depository. So I can't go crazy and get the whole thing. So I just buy them here and there. I think now I own like 8 or 9 copies of the Discworld in this edition. And I love them. I have The Ice Cream Queen of Orchard Street. This is by Susan Jane Gilman. I literally bought this because of the cover. And also because it's about a very fascinating sounding woman. And this story begins in 1913 with Melka, who is coming to America. She's coming to New York City from Russia. And they live a hard life. She starts peddling ice cream and builds this big business empire, and you follow her for the rest of her life, I think, into like the 1970s. Yes, it's spanning 70 years. You follow her in her life, and I just love things like that. I love stories where you get to span like generations or just like long periods of time and watch as, you know, the characters grow and change throughout their life. I just think this is going to be a lot of fun. And also, like I said, it's about ice cream. I picked up Out of Darkness by Ashley Hope Perez. Don't remember where I heard about this. I might have been on a banned books list. It says, this layered tale of color lines, love, and struggle in an East Texas oil town is a pit-in-the-stomach family drama that goes down like it should, with pain and fascination like a mix of sugary medicine and artisanal moonshine. So I think this is something about a interracial love story, like a interracial couple. And it starts in the 1930s, and I think it's told in different perspectives. Yeah, so I think this is multiple perspectives, 1930s and 40s, I want to say. And it's about an interracial couple. That's all I know. But it sounded really great, and because it was on a banned books list, and it's also a Prynne's Honor book, so sounded like something I wanted to read. I pre-ordered The Red Palace. This is by Junher. I now own all of Junher's books, and I haven't read any of them. What am I doing? I don't know, but they all sound fascinating. These are all of her books are set in Korea, and they're all historical murder mysteries, basically, and I love anything to do with reading about Asian countries. Give me all of that. I will read almost anything if it's set in Asia. And so these stories appealed to me because of that. I'm definitely going to push myself to read more of her books this year. Maybe read all of her books this year. I don't know. This one is set in 1758 in Korea when it was Joseon. And it's a murder mystery. I have Bluebird by Sharon Cameron. I don't remember who told me about this book, but this came as either a recommendation or somebody was talking about it on Instagram, I think. This is like the aftermath of World War II. This has to do, I think, with someone who was experimented on. They were part of a project, Project Bluebird, a horrific experiment of the concentration camps and sort of reconciling what happened to them, I think. So at this point, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know that this was going to jump out at me as a thing I need to read. I can't stop myself from reading all of the things to do with the Holocaust and that time period. It's been my pet obsession project, whatever you want to call it, since I was 12. You would have thought I'd outgrown it by now, but no. So I was excited to hear about this. This is a World War II story. It's set in Poland. It's blurbed on the back by Ruta Sepetys. I had several pre-orders this month. I had pre-ordered In Every Generation by Kendar Blake. This is Buffy, but like present day, what's happening with our Scooby Gang, but we're not really getting the Scooby Gang because we're getting like Willow's daughter, who is a potential slayer, and Oz's somebody. I don't know if it's his son. I don't know if it's his nephew. I don't know. Someone related to Oz. I think Oz is in this book. I can't wait to read this. It's literally killing me. It's torture that I haven't been able to pick this up yet. I need to read this. So as soon as I have some projects that I'm working on done, I'm diving into this because I cannot wait. I also pre-ordered the latest in the Wayward Children series. This is Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna McGuire. I am obsessed with this series. This one is a Cora story, which I'm excited about because every time I've read one of the books where she's present, I'm always like, I want more of Cora. So I'm hoping that I love this. One of my friends was kind enough to send me a book. When she saw it, she thought of me, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. So this came from Shalise. Thank you. I'm gonna link her down below. You can go follow her on Instagram. She's amazing. And she sent me The War Outside, and this is by Monica Hesse. I have really enjoyed the I think 2 Monica Hesse books that I've read, and so I'm excited to pick this one up. So this story follows 2 girls. We're following Margot, who's a German American in prison in the Crystal City family internment camp, and Haruko, who is imprisoned in a Japanese internment camp. So these 2 are thrown together, and I'm really interested in reading this. I've read a lot about Japanese internment, and I've read a lot about the Holocaust and a lot about World War II, but I don't think I've read a lot that had to do with German Americans. So I'm intrigued. So I'm looking forward to picking this up. Thank you so much, Shalise, for sending this my way. I have some more things that I picked up because of the Sibyls, because I have 0 willpower. I bought Call Me Athena. Oh, this book is huge. I bought Call Me Athena, A Girl from Detroit, a novel in verse by Colby Cedar Smith. This was a finalist in poetry. This is a book in verse. And we're following a Greek American girl. Yeah, a daughter of Greek and French immigrants in the tumultuous 1930s Detroit. So I'm really interested to read this because I'm always looking for immigrant stories too. That's another thing I really enjoy reading. So it's in verse. I think it'll be a really fast read because of that. And I think it goes back and forth in time as well, because just flipping through, I've seen a few of the poems dated 1916, 1918. So I don't think it's just set in the 30s. I think Athena is in the 1930s, but it's also going back in time to show us like her family. So I'm really intrigued by that. I have The Rebellious Life of Mrs. Rosa Parks, the Young Readers edition, and this is by Jean Theoharis. And it's adapted by Brandy Colbert and Jean Theoharis. So I'm excited about this because I have been like, I'm constantly planning out projects. Like, I never stop thinking about things I want to do. It's difficult to be in my brain sometimes. And so I've been wanting to do a civil rights unit of some kind. So I picked this up as a potential for that. I don't even know what I'm doing yet. But I want to say, and I might be wrong because I have not had a chance to read this, but I want to say this is the kind of book that is focused on one person. Like, you're seeing the entire movement, though, through their eyes. So, like, it's Rosa Parks and sort of a biography about her life, but also this is, like, the civil rights movement. So I think, potentially, this could be a spine for the civil rights unit. But I don't know yet. So I have to read it and see if that would actually work out the way I'm thinking it would. And then I also picked up In the Shadow of the Moon by Amy Cherricks. And this is a, like, space race history book, which I'm excited because I was kind of, like, halfway, but not fully, planning level 8 update. And this sounds like it would be perfect for that. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, or if it'll fit. Or if I'll just end up making this a whole unit study where I do like a space race unit. I don't know. But this book sounds great and I'm really excited to read it. We are almost to the end of this book haul, you guys. I picked up The Children's Blizzard by Melanie Benjamin. If you saw my video where I talked about my 12 book recommendations that I'm going to read this year, this was one of the recommendations, and I knew I wanted to own a copy of it because it sounds like a book I'm going to love. This is set in the late 1800s. There's a blizzard and some children get trapped in their schoolhouse, and the teachers need to make a decision as to what they're going to do. Are they going to stay and potentially run out of fuel and freeze to death, or do they risk sending the children home through a blizzard? And the decisions they make result in what happens in the story. So I'm really looking forward to this because this just sounds like a book I'm going to love. I picked up Within These Wicked Walls by Lauren Blackwood. This was also a Reese's YA book club. Reese Witherspoon recommends this. This is a Jane Eyre retelling. So I think this is set in the Caribbean, but I might be wrong. I'm gonna have to figure that out. It's like a Jane Eyre, like Mr. Rochester, something weird is happening. This has body horror in it. This is definitely more horror than like Jane Eyre is. But I'm really intrigued, and I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I'm excited to read this. Another book I picked up for that 12 book recommendations in 12 months is The World That We Knew by Alice Hoffman. This is a World War II story, a Holocaust story, about a mother who wants to protect her daughter, and there's a golem involved. They create a golem to protect her, and I need to read this. I've been told that Alice Hoffman writes tragic stories, and I am a sucker for tragedy, so I hope this is good. I think it will be. I've never read Alice Hoffman, so I'm really, really intrigued. And then the last book I have today is one I've picked up for a Holocaust unit. I'm kind of dabbling in I'm researching. I'm in research mode right now. I want to write a Holocaust unit study. It's the thing I've been wanting to do for ages. And I'm finally at a place where I feel like maybe I can get this done. And so I've been collecting things. And I have another stack elsewhere of stuff I've been collecting over the last couple of months that I don't think I've ever shown anybody. Maybe I'll do that in a different video. But this one I'll show you because I just bought it, like it came yesterday. And that is We Must Not Forget, Holocaust Stories of Survival and Resistance by Deborah Hopkinson. This I actually kind of bought for my daughter because she is always asking me questions. She always wants to read more about the Holocaust. And we're currently listening to When the World Was Ours by Liz Kessler, which was my favorite book of the year last year. I'm excited that she's wanted to read it with me, so we're reading that together. We're listening to the audiobook. And then I think I would like to dive into a Holocaust unit with her, where we can more fully explore, because we've just sort of been dabbling in it. Like, she knows the very basics. But I think now that she's almost 13, like, she's old enough to handle a full Holocaust study now. So I have this on hand. This is stories about children who survived and fought back. So we get some survival stories, but we also get resistance, which I am always looking for books about Jewish resistance during the Holocaust, because I think it is a misnomer to believe that, like, the Jews just walked to their deaths, like, and did nothing. That is not true. Lots and lots of Jews fought back. Like, there was an uprising in the Warsaw ghettos. There was uprisings in other places. Like, Jews escaped. Jews joined a resistance and killed Nazis. Like, we fought. And so I'm always looking for stories like that. So I don't know if I can do this because all of my kids are downstairs and I'm alone in here. I don't know if I can pick up all these books. I might die, you guys. Oh my God. Okay, I bought 32 books in January, and I have no regrets. I'm excited about all of these. The only regret I have is that I am seriously out of shelf space. Double, triple stacked as it is, I don't know where any of this is going. So that's gonna be fun, trying to reorganize my bookshelves, but I have books. And so I will never be bored. I will always have something to read. This is my life's goal, is to never run out of things to read. Nailed it. So, did you guys get anything new in the month of January? Let me know down below. Let's talk about new books and what we're excited to read. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Happy reading. Bye.